Hello, welcome to Top Stories today. Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara said on Wednesday that 75% of the primary schools in his state are battling a shortage of teachers, while 90% of the schools are dilapidated. South Korea's liberal opposition party has won a landslide majority in the country's general election to retain control of parliament. In sports, Nigerian Olympic gold medalist Chioma Ajunwa and Enefiok Udo Obong believe the world athletics has taken a brilliant step and are on the right path after the body announced prize money to gold medalists at the world's biggest sports event later this year. Welcome to News Hour. At this hour with me, Chioma Vickwemeka. The news in full. We begin in Rivers State, where the governor, Siminalayi Fubara, said yesterday that 75% of the primary schools in his state are battling a shortage of teachers, while 90% of the schools are dilapidated. Fubara said he became aware of the deplorable state of the primary schools in the state when a firm, New Global, in its bid to partner with his administration to enhance the capacity of teachers, performed field assessment of such personnel that they intend to train. Fubara said he found the field reports troubling and disappointing, particularly because the foundation could not find enough teachers to train. The governor made the revelation in a statement on Wednesday yesterday by his chief press secretary, Nelson Chukwode. He, however, expressed his determination to turn the situation around. The Nigerian Immigration Service has ordered investigation into an alleged assault of a journalist, Sheun Falomo, and personnel of the Oyo State Road Traffic Management Agency by some immigration officers. The NIS Comptroller General, Kemi Nandap, gave the order in a statement by the agency's Public Relations Officer, Kenneth Udo, yesterday Wednesday in Abuja. Nandap said that the NIS would not hesitate to sanction any of its officers and men who flouted the law and code of conduct. A news story had been circulating, alleging that some immigration officers assaulted personnel of the Oisama and one Sheun Falomo, a journalist with Galaxy Television. Ahead of the 2027 general elections, the Inter-Party Advisory Council has called on the leadership of the National Assembly to prioritize electoral reforms, particularly the review of the Electoral Act 2022. IPAC National Chairman Yusuf Dantale made the demand in an interview yesterday. According to Dantale, the current Electoral Act does not provide sufficient sanctions for election offenders. On his part, a chieftain of the Labour Party and spokesman to Mr. Peter Obi, the party's presidential candidate in the 2023 election, Mr. Tanko Yakasai, urged the National Assembly to champion electoral reforms as they relate to the relevant provisions of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Move right now to Kogi State, where the state governor Alhaji Ahmed Ododo yesterday Wednesday announced the arrest of the perpetrators of last week's crisis in which about 25 people were killed in Bagana, Omala local government area of the state. The government suspected to be armed herdsmen were said to have also destroyed property worth millions of naira in the community during the attack. The governor, speaking with journalists on Wednesday shortly after the Eid al-Fitr prayers at the Okene Central Prayer Ground, said the perpetrators as well as their sponsors had been arrested, adding that an investigation was ongoing to ascertain the extent of participation of those arrested. Ododo lashed out at those criticizing his government, describing them as noisemakers and those without stake as far as governance is concerned. The Chief Missioner Nasiru Lai Ili Fatsi Society of Nigeria Imam Abdulaziz Onike has raised concerns over the recent increase in electricity tariffs and called for a review of the hike. Onike expressed disappointment over the decision of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission to approve an increase in the electricity tariff, describing it as a burden on Nigerians who were already struggling with high cost of living. The cleric spoke yesterday Wednesday during the Eid al-Fitr prayer session at the Association Central Mosque at Asheshe, Ogun State. The Vice President, Nasfat Amar Olawi, urged Muslims to continue to the good deeds of Ramadan, including charity and support for the vulnerable, and to have faith in Nigeria despite its challenges. In Anambra State, the state government has ordered the demolition of 2 four-story buildings located at Amobi Street in Onitsha South local government area of the state. The ordered demolition, it was gathered, was aimed at averting imminent collapse of the affected buildings and the attendant casualties following incessant building collapses and casualties which occurred in the area when some buildings under construction collapsed and killed over 8 persons and injured no fewer than 26 persons between February and March. The 2 buildings housing over 800 shops designed to serve commercial purposes have been paid for by traders before the final completion of the project. The 2 structures located in proximity to each other are currently having cracked pillars and weak decking, a development that led to the demolition order. Chairman of Onitsha South Local Government Area, Chief Emeka Oji, disclosed the news of the demolition during an inspection of the site on Tuesday. Oji expressed concerns over the continuation of the project despite the order by the state government to stop work about a month ago. The Board of Inquiry set up by Defense Headquarters to investigate the March 14 killing of 17 soldiers at Okwama Uheli South Local Government Area of Delta State commenced scheduled sitting at a Government House Annex in Warri on Wednesday. The chairman of the board, Air Vice Marshal David Ajayi, had earlier told the Delta State Governor Sheriff Obowore that they were on a fact-finding mission and not to apportion blame. Details of the presentation of Okoloba communities representatives to the Board of Inquiry could, however, not be obtained as journalists were barred from the proceedings. Journalists waited outside the sitting venue in vain in anticipation of a possible media briefing by officials of the Board of Inquiry. It was gathered that the Delta State government had also indicated interest to present a position paper to the military board. However, Okwama leaders reportedly maintained that members of the community would not attend the sitting because Okwama people are displaced currently in the bush. The federal government yesterday declared that the nation's economy was being repositioned and that the security situation was improving. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, who said this yesterday, also urged Nigerians to recover lost values and maintain prayers for peace and the well-being of leaders and country. Idris made a call after the Eid al-Fitr prayer, which marked the end of Ramadan at Kaduna Capital School in Kaduna. The minister urged Nigerians to pray for President Bola Tinubu, acknowledging his effort to reposition Nigeria among the best nations. The Ijaw ethnic nationality in the Niger Delta yesterday raised alarm over the invasion of the homes of prominent Ijaw leaders and sons and the arrest of some without proper explanation by the Nigerian army. An Ijaw leader, Chief Anabs Sarah Iwe, and the Ijaw Youth Council, who screamed on the development, said things were getting out of hand, citing how the army invaded the home of a former governorship candidate of the National Rescue Movement in Rivers State. Sobom Moba Jackrich, popularly known as Ebere Pepper, calling for his immediate release. The said soldiers whisked him away after killing 2 of his 8 in the early hours of Monday when they stormed his Usukon country home in Degama local government area of Rivers State. Away from that, in Anambra State, the governor's wife and founder of the non-governmental crusade Healthy Living with Noye Soludo, Mrs. Noye Soludo, has alerted the public on health dangers in consumption of a snack popularly known as milky donuts. The governor's wife, who was speaking in Oka, drew attention to the severe health implications of the trending product, noting that apart from increasing diabetes chances due to its high sugar content, the snack can also weaken overall body metabolism. Mrs. Soludo pointed out that the high sugar calories and fats in the snacks can increase body mass index and affect blood sugar, which could activate hypertension. Mrs. Soludo, who is a practicing nutritionist and right health advocate, stated that the use of condensed and industrial milk for the product also increases its health effects on the body, stating that milky donuts have not been specified by professionals to have any health benefits. The governor's wife warned against high consumption of the trending snacks and also asked local regulators to explore regulatory options to cut down the spread of the product. She also appealed to aged people and persons with underlying health conditions to avoid the product, while parents should also keep the snacks away from children with tooth problems. Away from Nigeria, we move right now to South Korea, where Liberal Opposition Party has won a landslide majority in the country's general election to retain control of parliament. The Democratic Party and smaller opposition parties jointly won 192 of 300 seats in the National Assembly. The vote is widely seen as a midterm referendum on President Yoon Suk Yeol, who has 3 years left in office. His party leader Han Dong-hoon has resigned and Prime Minister Han Duck-soo has offered to resign. This is a crushing defeat for Mr. Yoon and his People Power Party, which has been struggling to achieve its agenda in a legislature dominated by the DPK. The DPK's win means they will be able to fast-track and push legislation through Parliament. Both the DPK and the PPP use breakaway satellite parties to maximize their vote on the South Korea's electoral system, which assigns some seats to smaller parties whose seats counts fall short of their overall support. Elon Musk has announced on his social media platform X, formerly Twitter, that he will visit India to meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi without giving a date. The Tesla boss is expected to announce major investment plans in the country soon. Last month, India cut import taxes on electric vehicles for global car makers, which commit to investing $500 million, that's 399 million euros, and starting local production within 3 years. In 2021, the Tesla boss said that India's high import duties had prevented the firm from launching its cars in the world's fastest growing major economy. After years of negotiations, the European Parliament has approved a major reform tightening the EU's migration and asylum rules. The EU Asylum and Migration Pact has been in the works since 2015. It will come into force in 2 years' time. It is designed to speed up the asylum process and boost the return of irregular migrants to home countries. It will also require EU member states to share responsibility for asylum seekers. Last year saw some 380,000 people illegally crossing the EU's borders, the highest number since 2016. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has defended his government's efforts to ensure election integrity at a public inquiry looking into foreign interference in Canada. He argued that the last two elections in 2019 and 2021 had been free and fair and decided only by Canadians. The inquiry has largely focused on investigating allegations that China meddled in Canadian politics. India has also allegedly conducted its own operations. A briefing document from the Canadian Security Intelligence Service reveals the spy agency said that China had clandestinely and deceptively interfered in the last two federal elections. Away from that, 5 Australian women who were strip-searched and invasively examined at Doha airport have failed in their bid to sue Qatar Airways. They and other women were ordered off a flight and checked for whether they had given birth after a baby was found abandoned in an airport bin in 2020. The incident sparked public outrage and it was condemned by several nations. An Australian court found the state-owned airline could not be prosecuted under the laws governing global travel. The 5 women filed a claim in the Federal Court of Australia in 2021, seeking damages over the alleged unlawful physical contact and false imprisonment, which had caused mental health impact, including depression and post-traumatic stress disorder. Other passengers, including from the UK and New Zealand, were not part of the lawsuit. The Nigeria Football, that's Premier Football League Club Owners Association, says there are no complaints or problems following a report that clubs were set for a showdown with the NPFL board over financial differences. The club owners were said to have planned a boycott of March Day, 30 games billed for this weekend. Over the non-disclosure of broadcast deals the NPFL signed with StarTimes and Propel Sport, as well as the fulfillment of financial commitments made at the start of the season. Secretary of the board and the chairman Sporting Lagos, Godwin Nakena, informed newsmen that they were negotiating with the board and also dealing with other issues such as accumulated outstanding matches in order to ensure a successful campaign with just 9 games to the end of the season. Away from that, South Africa coach Desiree Ellis has expressed her disappointment at Banyana's failure to qualify for the women's football event at the Paris 2024 Olympics. Banyana will miss their second consecutive Olympics after the reigning African champions were held to a goalless draw in the second leg of the African women's Olympic qualifying playoffs on Tuesday at Loftus Versfeld in Pretoria. The draw saw the 9-time African champions advance 1-0 on aggregate. Ellis also blamed her team's poor start and formation for their Olympic miss. Following their qualification for the 2024 Olympic Games Women's Football Tournament, Super Falcons head coach Randy Waldrum has called on the Nigeria Football Federation and the Sports Ministry to ensure proper preparation for the team. The Falcons qualified for the event after securing a goalless draw against South Africa in Pretoria on Tuesday, progressing 1-0 on aggregate thanks to Rashidat Ajibade's winner in the first leg at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium in Abuja. Nigeria returns to the Olympics for the first time in 16 years, with their last appearance coming in Beijing 2008. Upon the completion of the playoffs, the Falcons are in the tough Group C, where they face World Cup holders Spain, former world champions Japan and Brazil. Speaking ahead at the forthcoming event, Waldrum warned that his side must embark on preparations to be able to challenge for a medal at the Olympics. Nigerian Olympic gold medalist Chioma Ajunwa and Enefiok Udo Obong believe the world athletics has taken a brilliant step and are on a right path after the body announced prize money to gold medalists at the world's biggest sport event later this year. The duo, both retired sprinters, also said the move would further enhance competition in athletics events in Paris, as they hope other international sports bodies would adopt the same approach as World Athletics. There will be 48 athletics events in Paris, with relay gold medalists to share the prize money among themselves. According to World Athletics on Wednesday, the global governing body said a total prize pot of $2.4 million has been made available for this summer's Olympics in Paris, with gold medalists receiving $50,000, that's 62 million naira. This will be extended to silver and bronze medalists in the next edition of the Olympics in Los Angeles 2028, it was also stated. All right, with that sharing news on sports, we wrap it up on today's this hour's News Hour. A quick reminder of our top stories. We told you from Rivers State that the governor, Siminalaye Fubara, said yesterday, Wednesday, that 75% of primary schools in the state are battling a shortage of teachers, while 90% of schools are dilapidated. South Korea's Liberal Opposition Party has won a landslide majority in the country's general election to retain control of parliament. Nigerian Olympic gold medalist Chioma Ajunwa and Enefiok Udo Obong believe the world athletics has taken a brilliant step and are on the right path after the body announced prize money to gold medalists at the world's biggest sports event later this year. That's it on News Hour this hour. On behalf of the entire editorial news and production crew, my name is Chioma Victor. Stay with us here on TV Sapiens as we have other programs to ensure that you enjoy the rest of our transmission. More news times will come your way at exactly 4 p.m. I will be back. Kindly be security conscious, be on the alert, do have a smashing and productive day ahead of you. Stay with us.